make a profile using the Sandbox Smart software, and there are a couple of ways of making a profile. One is to copy an existing profile, which you can do, and the other one is to make a profile from scratch. So I'm just going to skip this. Now what will happen, annoyingly the software wants to connect to the roaster, so it will come up and say, I haven't got a Bluetooth connection, do you want to reconnect? Which is a little irritating. I wish I could turn that off for when I want to actually create a roast profile. So let's go through here. These are where my roast profiles are, and there's one I created called test. Now I could take that profile and I could modify it, and in test I've got I can have a data point every minute. So for the first 3 minutes I don't have any data points, and then I have my first one at 3 minutes, which is here, then at 4, then at 5, then at 6, and they're all the same, so it'll actually keep the same heat and fan levels even if I don't put a point in. But if I want to change them every minute, I can actually do that. Now it goes up to 14 minutes here, not because you'd still be running that profile at 14 minutes, because before then, sometime after 12 minutes or 11.5 minutes, you'll be pressing the first crack button, which is that one there. You'll see the little dot come up, and that will actually go into a separate profile at first crack, which is defined here. What's going to happen at first crack? So anyway, I'm going to cancel that, and we'll cancel that, and I could edit that profile to what I want, or I can make a new one. So let's hit plus. So I'm going to make a new profile. I'm going to call it test 2 for now. Okay, it doesn't really matter what I call it. I could set the region of the coffee, America, general America, bean process type. We could say it's washed coffee. Others would be, that's a natural. Others you might say a pulp natural. Let's say it's a natural. Or honey. Let's actually do a washed coffee. It doesn't matter. The voltage of the unit isn't an option in this profile. Okay, so we say yes. Sorry, it is an option now. Now the keyboard's gone. Here we go. It's a 220 volt profile. Now this is just for a note, so that you can actually say, okay, you can identify it as a 220 volt profile when you share it. So I can apply a profile, and these are the 3 factory ones, or I can start a new profile. I'm going to start a new profile. I could have modified one of my existing and saved it with a new name. That wouldn't have mattered. And this is the preheat setting and first crack. So my preheat, I'm going to set my preheat up to 190. Yeah, and that's when the roaster says it's hot enough to roast. My first crack setting, well, I don't know. This is a new roast, so I could set it for 2 minutes, and I could stop it any time within the first 2 minutes to get my roast time. See, at first crack, I'll press the first crack button, and then it will continue roasting for 2 minutes, and then it will end the roast. Now, I could set longer, or I could set shorter. If I set shorter, I can't really easily extend the time. You can if you're quick, but it's easier with an unknown coffee, say, to set up to 2 minutes or longer, 130 seconds, whatever. Let's say we set to 2.5 minutes. That's 150 seconds, right? Now that'll take the coffee quite dark, but we can stop the very first roast we do with this profile at any time before that, make a note of it, and then come back here and adjust that first crack time. The power up first crack, well, we could say, all right, I've found that, you can keep it at 50%. If it was a dry process, you might get away with 40. It depends on the bean. If you find at first crack the temperature is dropping too far, you can say, well, I'll up the power level a little bit. Yeah, if you find the temperature is maintained okay, you can even try dropping the power level a bit, and if it doesn't drop away too far, it's better not to have too much power at first crack, but we'll go for 50%, if I can get it there. There we go. The fan percentage on first crack, you might be down to 25% fan to extract the smoke and chaff out. The drum speed, always 100%. You could try experimenting with drum speed, I haven't. So I'm going to say that's complete. So that's my test 2 roast. If I go in there, there are no data points. Okay, so I have to put my control points in, and you can see the first dot. So let's start the first control point. This is heat, fan, drum, and I have to tell each control point what I want. So if I go there, click the control point, double click it. So for the first 60 seconds, I want, let's say 80% is warming up the beans. I could say 90. I want the fan to be 20, 25. Well, let's say 20. And the drum speed to be 100. Now, there's not a lot of moisture going to come out in that coffee. I could even set 90%. Let's set 90%. There's not a lot of moisture going to come out of that coffee, probably for the first couple of minutes. So if I say confirm, that'll give me a nice warm-up. And I'll do my next point at 2 minutes. I'm going to go back to my first one. And what I want to do, I want this power level at 90 and fan of 20 to run for 2.5 minutes. Okay, so that's 150 seconds. That's my phone. I want to go to 150 seconds, 2.5 minutes, and I'm going to confirm. I'm going to set my next data point, and as you can see, it's allowed for the 2.5 minutes. Double click, double tap it. This time I want this data point to run at a slightly higher fan speed. I'm going to move the fan now to 25 because I'm going to want to get more moisture out. Moisture is going to be formed in the coffee, and I'd like that to come out. And I'm going to run that data point for a couple of minutes. Let's do a couple of minutes. Yep, confirm that. And then I'm going to put my next data point in, which will add it for 2 minutes. And probably I'm going to keep at that. Yeah, I'm sort of happy with that. I'll keep at that. And I'll add another one just by pressing plus. And another. Now the reason I'm adding these data points is if I want to go back and make edits later, it makes it easy rather than trying to have to slip a data point in. So I'm going to keep adding data points at that power level. Yeah. And I'm going to get here now to about, we're about 9. When I get to 10 minutes or 11 minutes, I could up the fan very slightly. So I could go another 5%. What I'm trying to do here is if there's any smoke beginning, start to pull that out the chamber. Add another, and I'll keep that at that fan level. So I'll just keep going at that fan level. Okay. Now I don't know, I've got an extra data point really beyond 14. I probably don't need that. Let's bring it back. I'll just add the one. I'll make sure it goes beyond 14. Now what's going to happen here, I've got my first crack set up where I drop the power level to 50%. It's set to, it should be 150. I don't know why it's set to 140. It should be set to 150. 50% heat. The fan, I've got down to 25%, but I'm going to put that up to match the 30% of my profile. I'm going to confirm that. I'm not going to worry about second crack because I'm not going to take the roast into second crack. If I did want to, I could make some settings there. So I'm going to confirm that. I'm just going to check these data points here. So this will be some time prior to first crack occurring, 11 minutes 30, or at about first crack. I might decide to ease the fan speed off because it can be quite tricky to get the coffee to first crack, or I might keep it at 30% and let it ease off when I've indicated first crack. I can't. But I'm going to leave that. So that's my profile. and I've kept my fan speed at 30%. So that's all good. If I find the profile curves a bit slow, I can go back into these, and here, where I let the fan speed go to 30 at 10.5 minutes, I might actually drop that back to 25. So that's my profile done. And I can actually save that now. Okay, with the heart symbol, because if I didn't save it, it would all be gone. I go out and I check my profile, and there are all my data points all ready to be applied. And it's that easy to create a profile. Once you start roasting, there is this button to the right of the little graph button, not that one, this one here. You can see it, me indicating it. That'll actually allow you a form of manual control. I don't know if that's ultimately much use. I never really used it because I find these sliders a little bit tricky to use, and sometimes I'd have preferred to input a number rather than try and slide and use the plus or minus. But that's it. That's how to input profiles on this. To make a profile from scratch. Very, very easy. Now, if you wanted to share a profile, that's also very easy. I've gone back into test 2. I could rename this and whatever, because you can edit this profile. I can actually rename this if I want. If I go to that pencil and line, I can rename it to something better. And I can share it, and I can member share or social share. If I member share, I'll send it to a particular member. If I social share it, it becomes a mailable thing, right, where I can actually mail this to somebody or put it on a website as a link. And as soon as I socially share it, it sends it up to the Sandbox server. So if I go to email, I can actually share that with someone. This is my profile. Click on the URL to download it. Share Sandbox Smart. So that you could actually, a retailer could put on a site, and you just click that if you buy those green beans, and you got the profile directly to your device and to the software. But what you do have to do is download it using your mobile. Then when you open it, it'll apply it to the it'll ask you if you want to open it with the Sandbox software, and you say yes, and it just imports it straight into your Sandbox software. It's very good, works very well. So I'm going to discard that email, and that's how you share.